It's been an amazing afternoon for Dennis and me. We've just really enjoyed it all, and I have to give a shout out to the singers and the musicians. The energy that comes through is wonderful. Now, I have a question for the children. What is this? And what is this? And do they look at all alike? Why do you suppose that is? Well, that's right. They are both. For the literalists among us, this girl is absolutely right. Actually, we know that the Easter egg symbolizes rebirth, that Jesus was crucified and then he came back. And the lingam represents a larger, for me, for us perhaps, a larger form of earth. This is the universe. This is the seed of the universe. This is when the infinite becomes finite and takes a form that we all can live in, basically. So I just wanted to add that as a little homage to Easter and to Swami, to thank him for that lingam. For children, Easter is a lovely time to search for treats. Run around in the garden and look for candies and toys and things to fill our baskets. As we enter adult life, it often becomes a hunt to fill our lives with desires, things that we want. And the lingam represents overcoming those things of desire and filling our baskets with the fruit of our self-inquiry, our Atma Vichara. Once I was in a group with Swami, and he had given a discourse 2 nights prior in Bangalore, and a group of Americans had just arrived 1 day prior. And so he asked them if anyone had any questions. Oh, I see. Yes, sorry. He asked the group and those of us who were staying at the time if we had any questions about what he had spoken 2 nights prior. And I looked around the room and I realized I was probably the only one who had been there that night. The other people who had been were off teaching classes and doing other things. So I had been there the previous night. So he was asking for questions. So I said, and you know, I must say that being in that environment in Whitefield and asking a question, for me was a rare thing because there were always senior people who were asking questions. And one time, in fact, I was sitting next to Swami's chair, and I kept wanting to ask a question, and every time there was a pause, there would be somebody would jump in. And then at one point, Swami looked at me and he said, Swami? He was mirroring for me my hesitation to jump in and ask a question. But anyway, on this event was the first time I did ask a question. And I said, and I have had it on tape, so if I read it, it's so I can be precise. Swami, I don't remember exactly how you said it, but you spoke of us having knowledge and ignorance, or the lack of knowledge. And Baba corrected me in English. He said, knowledge and wisdom. Baba then continued through the translator, who was Dr. Gokak. Knowledge means worldly knowledge, and wisdom refers to the divine. Then Swami invited me to continue my question. Thank you, Swami, I said. My question is, does the wisdom always overcome our ignorance? I mean, if it's a struggle between the wisdom and our ignorance, and we are struggling within, does the wisdom always overcome our ignorance? And Baba replied with the magic word, this is done invariably. Invariably, wisdom succeeds in putting this across to the ignorance in us. It may be that what we have read of wisdom or listened to from others may be of use, but essentially, the wisdom that helps and illuminates is that which really comes from our own contact with ourselves, with self-knowledge. The experience of one's own self coming from the heart, from the spring of the divine that is there. So now, as we search for the answers, from self-inquiry to attain self-knowledge, we are emptying our baskets of desires and filling our baskets with spiritual discipline. The sadhanas of self-knowledge, Swami says, invariably, and I get chills when I think about it, there is hope, in other words, invariably leads to wisdom. Also, in a conversation with Brother Srinivas, whom I don't see at the moment, but he's here somewhere, I had mentioned to him how, having been in India and interviewed many swamis and teachers about the possibility of Jesus having been to India, I was powerfully affected by the way they expressed their love for Jesus. I mean, coming from a Christian background with layer upon layer upon layer of divisions and separation of not cults, but categories of beliefs, where somebody wants to start a new version because that's how they feel, and then someone else does the same, and it's like a tree, starting with the trunk, but branching out into all these leaves that are often in conflict with each other. So, Brother Srinivas asked that I share some of those words with you today. And prior to the World Conference in 1975, which you're going to be seeing here, Richard Bach and I traveled through North India to follow the descriptions from the Tibetan manuscripts about the possibility of Jesus having come to India during the 18 years not mentioned in the Bible. We met two disciples of Swami Shivananda, whom Baba visited in Rishikesh in earlier days. Swami Venkateshananda had been Shivananda's private secretary for more than 20 years. And he said that one knew from listening to Swami Shivananda speak of Jesus that he, quote, had direct realization of what Jesus was and is today. Another Swami we interviewed was Swami Chidananda, who is now head of the Shivananda ashram in Rishikesh, and he said that the voice of Jesus is verily the voice of the eternal being. He expressed the call of the infinite to the finite, which is a mirroring of the lingam. When the infinite, unformed, becomes finite. And we also met a Jain monk whose name was His Holiness Muni Shishil Kumarji of the Jain faith, and he explained, we believe that Lord Jesus Christ did come to India at a place called Palipana in the Gujarat district, where there is a big Jain temple. And what struck me about this is that here these people were saying, oh yes, we knew that Jesus came to India. And that's, part of our experience and part of our understanding of him and where some of his teachings came from. But there was no sense of competition, which is what the West is known for. We're individualists who are competing with one another. And so to rise above that and escape it, really, was an extremely powerful experience for me. And then, of course, the real gift came from Baba. We arrived at the ashram 5 weeks before the beginning of 5 weeks before the birthday. And then the World Conference began several days before that. And Swami surprised me with an official photographer's badge. And this was, maybe the first, maybe the only lady who, was given that badge by Swami. But he also spoke to us at the end of the conference and after the birthday about Jesus in India, and he reiterated the path that he took. And Baba said Jesus went to Rishikesh, Dehradun, Calcutta, Rajagriha, and Benares. And then he told us, because we were working on this film, he said, Satya Sai and Jesus Christ, very good mixture. So that, gave us plenty of blessing and enthusiasm from him to continue the work, which took years to complete. And then Swami said, in the study group, I mentioned that there is a complete discourse by Swami on Isa. And Isa is Sai. And Swami explained that I, Sa, and Sai are the same, that I, Sa, when you repeat it, and try this sometime when you're thinking about him. Isa, 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 Isa. It goes from one to the other. And so Swami said in that discourse, which by the way is available as all good things on the Digital Studio website under Satya Sai Speaks, and this was he gave 2 discourses. One was Christmas of 1976, which we were there for actually, and then again, that one was named Jesus, and then 2 years later in 1978, he gave a discourse called Sai, again on Christmas Day, and that discourse almost defies description. I mean, it's so amazing. Swami said in this discourse, Jesus was honored by the populace as Christ, for they found in his thoughts, words, and deeds no trace of ego. He had no envy or hatred and was full of love, charity, humility, and sympathy. Jesus' original name was Isa, which repeated, Isa, 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 Isa. Sai is Sai. Isa and Sai both mean Ishvara, God, the eternal absolute, the being, awareness, bliss. In the Tibetan manuscript at the monastery where Isa spent some years, his name is written as Isha, which means Lord of all living beings. And then Swami also said something that I think is so mind-expanding, heart-expanding. He said, Jesus said that the bread taken at the Last Supper was his flesh and the wine his blood. He meant that all living beings with flesh and blood are to be treated as he himself, and that no distinction should be made of friend or foe, we or they. Every body is his body, sustained by the bread. Every drop of blood flowing in the veins of every living being is his, animated by the activity that the wine imparted to it. That is to say, every man, every woman is divine and has to be revered as such. And, for me to speak after those words is difficult. But I wanted to say that these pictures that we're going to be seeing were taken in 1975 with my official photographer's badge. And I won't be speaking over the pictures because you will see how they move very nicely. And it would just slow things down to talk over it. But what you will see is the changes to the mandir that occurred in the run-up to 1975, And you will see Swami doing Narayan Seva. You will see Swami's sister with family members. You will see what it was like to be camping out on the grounds of the ashram, like so many people were. You will see the new stupa. You will see Swami in the Purna Chandra, overseeing preparations for some of the design elements and this plaques that are around the ashram with Swami's words on them. Also, the incredible carving of the main door to the entrance to the ashram. Then you will see darshan from the helicopter. Procession to the stupa. Swami climbs up the base of the stupa. And I've got something misprinted here, so that's why I'm pausing. And, then you see the World Conference in the Purna Chandra. Then you see darshan in the Purna Chandra, Swami on the Jula, and then a brief selection of photographs, black and white pictures from the personal family album of the late Maharaja of Venkatagiri, who Swami visited often, and His Holiness, the Maharaja, was the one who would lay down in the dust of the tires of the car that drove Swami away. Anyway, it was his youngest son, Rajkumar Venkatagiri, whom I had met, and we shared photos, and then he said, 2 years before, and then he said, for the World Conference birthday, I will bring you our family album, and you will be able to see that and photograph the photographs, which is what you will see. So I think we're ready to start. And can we turn off these lights, please?
Thank you.